welcome Damian Grimling. We are happy to have you here today for another Google Web3 Fireside Chat.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There's a lot to unpack here, so we're excited to jump in. First, Damian, I'd like to know a little bit more about yourself. Just a little bit of background that I've uncovered about you. It seems like you've been a serial entrepreneur all the way back to 1995, having made a number of companies, ranging from trading, logistics, EU subsidies, and now Sentimenti and crypto, as well as sentiment analysis. So if you wouldn't mind elaborating, talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me again. Maybe my English is not the sharpest, but I'm sure what we did and, of course, what we do in Sentimenti and Sentistocks will defend itself. We'll see at the end of the podcast. And I don't know anything about your emotions, Blake, but mine are highly twisted. So take care of me, please. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's get started and talk about emotions and in life and trading. Sure, a few words about me. I have some years behind me, but I'll try to keep it short. I guess emotions have always been close to me, and I felt need to explore them. I'm not so sure why. Maybe from the fact that I had a big problem with expressing them. Really, basically from the start up to my 20s, I stuttered so much that I was basically unable to communicate with anyone. I had to think every sentence from start to finish before even speaking it. Maybe that's why I had my inner world of emotions that needed to come out. Maybe this. Fortunately, this problem has largely disappeared when my parents decided to escape from communist Poland to Germany. They didn't see any opportunities there for themselves as well for my siblings and me. And as a young adult, it was really hard for me. You can imagine that I lost all my high school friends and other contacts that were close to me. But at the end of the day, it also had its advantages. For example, I had to learn a whole new language, German, which became a second native language for me. And probably thanks to this, I stopped stuttering. It was also a great time for new friendships, parties. I was at the boarding high school, far from home, then business school. And I remember this period's a good time. And later I've met my first love, my first wife. Yeah, finally, I've been back in Poland for many years now, trying to fulfill myself professionally and privately. I said love. Okay, well, just really strong emotion, feeling. We talk about emotions. You don't know, but love was at the root of Sentimenti and thus Sentistocks. Interesting story all in all. A few years ago, I was in a relationship with a girl. It was mostly long distance. Lots of writing, lots of chatting, rare meetings. Probably all of us are familiar with it, trying to express one thing through text, and the other half understands it completely different, especially at the emotion level, because we apply our own filters, expectations, etc., so on. Finally, out of the need to get along with each other, the idea of reading emotions in text was born. Okay, at that time, I have convinced fantastic scientists, psychologists, psychiatrists, neuroscientists, and much more linguists, cognitive scientists, and so on. In the span of about 3 years of scientific work, thanks to European grants and later thanks to our investors' funds, we built the tool, Sentimenti tool. Before that, we had tested more than 20,000 people in terms of emotions in the text that were shown to them. We had built for that an extra tool, so-called Emo tool. In doing so, we had used two of the most popular theories of emotions. The one theory is a theory of Paul Ekman, I guess, and the second is a theory of Robert Plutchik, an American behaviorist. They identified 8 basic emotions, such fear, anger, sadness, trust, expectation, disgust, and I think and surprise, of course, and also so-called compound emotions. For example, the emotion love consists of trust and joy. This means that we can indicate by Sentimenti each emotion in any text if it is there in what intensity. Let me take this opportunity to quickly explain the difference between emotions and sentiment. Take as an example of 2 emotions that everyone, I think, understand: anger and sadness. Anger triggers in us the need for an action. You agree? Gesturing, lashing out on pillow, etc., and so on. Action. And sadness, the opposite: withdrawal, confinement. The problem is that both emotions, which are so different in the sense of what behavior they evoke in us, end up in a bag with the name negative sentiment. The same is true of other emotions such as trust and joy and so on. The measure of sentiment is a very big simplification. Okay, what else? So we have what is probably the, I think, world's largest text database tagged with emotions. About 20,000 people.
Real quickly, before we dive into the specifics of Sentimenti,
Sure.
can I interject and ask you, so what's brought you to the Web3 aspect? Seeing as this is a Web3 forum, curious what piqued you into bringing Sentimenti over to the world of Web3 and crypto trading? How did you specifically gear towards that route?
Sure. Where is in all this Web3? Sure. Well, that's where. While working on emotions, on emotion measurement in Sentimenti, we've been thinking about how to use this in business from the beginning. This poses a challenge because emotions are present in every human decision, most often preceding human action. Emotion first, action later. For this reason, the applicability is far wide. We focused on 2 areas. On the one hand, we operate in typical soft areas such as supporting media monitoring, communications, which is what Sentimenti does. But on the other hand, in Sentistocks, and this is a service within Sentimenti, we wanted to see how much precise reading of emotions and so many different ones could be used in predicting so-called investor sentiment. A number of academic publications already has shown that there is a potential in this, but they also showed that the measure of sentiment, I mean positive and negative, is too shallow, not accurate enough. Therefore, in a situation where we measure emotions, by the way, we measure them as a percentage, not 0-1, we decided to try to predict the rates of various financial instruments on the basis. The first test took place on, I think, the Polish stock market, and they were very promising. On the other hand, for many years, I've been fascinated with the history of Bitcoin and the whole idea of decentralized finance to the extent, and I have become a modest investor myself. I also believe that crypto asset prices are still mostly driven by emotions rather than actual market valuation, as most projects have no real use at the moment in the economy, and people like to speculate. Thus, it was for us a cool incentive to take on this challenge. Okay, what we have done. We took the history of 2 years of tweets around BTC, around Bitcoin. There were about 15 million tweets. On the other hand, we downloaded historical rates for Bitcoin from the same period. After proper cleaning, of course, we read the emotions from the tweets. We matched up, on the one hand, the the percentages of emotion accumulated into 5-minute bundles. And on the other hand, all 5-minute financial candles from Binance, I think, or Bitstamp, I don't remember, in a machine learning model. The goal was to ask for a possible prediction of the future price. There were hundreds of these approaches, of course, and parameter changes, but the very first results showed that there was something to it. And in the end, we are now able to predict in 4 intervals. It is 24 hours, 8, 4, and 1 hour. And we are working just now on reducing the response to 15 minutes interval. I can show you some data. I'd like to show you some data on why the approach to prediction by emotions makes sense. When I can share the screen with you, is it okay?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. Wait a second. I think that's here. Okay. Can you see it?
Sure can.
Okay. This is a preview of our system. Here we sometimes check our customers, of course, too, that the system is working. You can see here on the chart at the very top the current BTC rate. It's here. Below you have our prediction for the next interval. You can change here the intervals between 1 hour, 4, 8, and 24 hours. We can zoom it in, and here's the next prediction for the next 1 hour. The price will go down.
We'll have to check the Bitcoin price at the end of the hour to see how it's comparing.
Yeah. Below you have also our predict, and even below the emotion we read from thousands of tweets for this interval is to see here. Is here joy, fear, anger, and so on. That's all the emotions we read from tweets. And also from mentions from Reddit. For example, you can see how the emotion of anger and joy are contrasted. If one goes up, then the other goes down. Is here to see for example. That's the basis for our predictions.
Curious, of these different emotions, is there any particular emotion that seems to have more impact than the others?
Not really. We measure all the emotions, and we compound that together in the machine learning model. That is, it's not possible to say that one emotion is better than the another one. Yeah, one interesting thing, we also did tests on models based on emotion and financial data versus only on financial data, only candles. And at first glance, it seems that the quality of prediction is comparable. For example, for the 15 minutes model just built by us, the difference for the predicted value and the average close with emotions is about 69%, and without emotion, 66%. It seems like nothing. However, when we look deeper for key value in trading, for instance, trades above 1% change in value, we see really dramatic difference. 70% prediction accuracy for the model with emotions versus 17% for the model without emotion. And in practice, this means that there are emotions that cause the model to make the right decision at key moments. Without emotion, just on the financial data, the probability of losing the entire portfolio through maybe one bad decision is several times higher.
That's incredible. So
Yeah,
I follow that up with a question. So generally speaking, what are kind of the big differences between the analysis that Sentimenti is performing versus what some of the other competitors on the market might offer? What are kind of the key differences there?
Because us and other competitors, you mean?
Correct. So
yeah,
what makes Sentimenti different from the rest of the playing field in terms of sentiment analysis specifically?
Yeah, that's the big difference. The reading of emotions, but really we don't focus on competitors, especially since there are really no emotion-based solutions. There are few sentiment-based, but as I said before, there's a big quality difference between emotions and sentiment. However, we have guess that our performance in the BTC USDT pair, BTC USDT area is well above the average for the algo trading solutions. All other solutions, bots, strategies, etc., are based on financial analysis. In our opinion, only in emotions there are a real value for predicting future behavior. Yeah, we humans operate in such a way before every decision and action. There is first an emotion that spurs us into action.
So we've talked about how you're using Sentistocks in order to analyze some of the crypto markets like Bitcoin. Do you have any plans to use the same strategy on other financial markets, such as NASDAQ, other equities? Or is there a reason or difference between the markets?
Sure. I think we want to try ourselves with other instruments. We had some tests on Google and or Tesla shares, etc., and they showed that the same potential is there, just like in the forex market. So we will go further and test our solution based on emotions on other instruments and assets.
So back in the year of 2022, looking at the Sentipod performance, it shows that according to your website that 9 out of 12 of the trading months y'all were able to show a profit generated with an average gain of about 1.67% and a loss of about 0.35%.
That's
so
true,
a question I had to that was how are you calculating this data? Are these real trades performed with the actual markets, or are these more simulated trades like paper trading?
No, they are not backtests or simulated trades. These are real trades. The presented results are from real transaction, and they come from our bot, from our company bot, which trades or traded on the Binance exchange with our funds for a year, I think. And since September 22 or October 22, additionally, these values are confirmed by the results of our clients.
Impressive. So follow-up question to that then.
Thank you.
So seeing that we've got a pretty profitable strategy running here, what is the thinking behind the strategy of offering this to the public, allowing other people to purchase this as opposed to pulling in outside investment capital and starting to trade on behalf of others with a fee commission structure? So I guess boiling that question down, why sell access as opposed to increasing the assets under management?
Okay. I can hear you very, very, very badly. Oh, no. Sorry for that.
Here, I will send the question in the chat as well, just to.
Oh, that's good.
The question was, why sell access to the bot as opposed to increasing assets under management?
Okay, I can read it here. Okay, I think that there is room in the market for both for both services, software as a service solution product, and of course an assets under management company. And I think we have taken the right path. First, we want to prove to the market that the bot is in action, and openly reporting on this, on the results, increases our credibility. And on the other hand, if some medallion maybe or other quant fund knocks on our door, we certainly won't refuse to talk. We treat the bot stage as a good start, but not necessarily as a target solution.
Makes sense. Jumping over now, Damian, I know you said that there was some additional information you would like to share. Did you want to go ahead and take over and demonstrate, or were the charts that you had just showed a moment ago what you were referring to?
I wanted to show you only the trading, the summary of emotion, nothing more. That's it. What I wanted to share with you.
All right. Well, in that case, then, do you mind if I ask you a couple more questions? The next question I would have for you, Damian, is, so now that AI has started to really pick up in the space, and we're starting to see a lot of generative AI, especially in the round of making content, how do you see generative AI playing into the data that you're analyzing in terms of sentiment? So Twitter posts that are now created by bots as opposed to people, how does that affect the quality of the analysis that you can perform?
Okay, good questions. I think the growth of AI-generated content is not a special interest to us. The purpose of such content is to reach people with the message, not algorithms. And since people are reading it, that means it affects them emotionally, and that's what matters most to us. We measure emotions in the receiver of the content, not in the center, the broadcaster. As long as the recipient is a person who will make decisions in the financial market based on such information, and more on the emotions that this information caused in him, we will measure the emotion sooner and know how it will affect the market. I hope that's the answer to your question.
I think it's a very interesting answer, and I do have a follow-up question on that. So under that thinking, then, would you foresee folks trying to maybe manipulate the markets to some degree by posting this generative AI content? If the theory is that people are trading based off of what they're reading, so their trades are being influenced by the emotions of the posts that they read, did you foresee that being a valid strategy, and what might some of the side effects of that be?
Yeah, but as I said, for us, it doesn't matter as long as investor decisions are made by humans, because then even manipulated entries affect the investor's mood. And since we read emotions from these entries, we assume that they will affect investors to some extent and cause market movement. And knowing the emotion or the emotions, we can react earlier. But in fact, I'm convinced that this phenomenon will increase. That's true.
Well, let me tell you, maybe we switch to another question here, which is, what are some of the big priorities that you have on the horizon? What are you working on in the near-term future that we should start to get excited about?
Things on the horizon. I think our next big goal is, after implementing a short interval, a 15 minutes interval, is, as I said, to return to other instruments already tested, stocks, Forex shares, and the first test showed that the same potential for prediction is there, and certainly with a different strategy, of course, and new models, but emotions also play the same big role there as well.
Now that there's been some volatility in the Twitter company, I'm curious to see how that's impacting your ability to collect data. I know they've been making changes to the API and there's some stability concerns there, but have the recent changes at Twitter had much of an impact on how y'all are operating?
You mean the Twitter data?
Exactly.
Okay. So far, and I hope that this will not change. Sometimes we get several thousand tweets downloaded in an hour. Of course, we don't know how long the API will return good quality data. Sorry, but we have always relied not only on tweets, but also, for example, on posts from Reddit. We are also ready to plug in more social media to possibly fill the gap.
With other sources like Reddit, has the performance been fairly similar to a source like Twitter in terms of the predictive nature?
Okay, the Reddit data is maybe about 5 or 10% to the Twitter data. Twitter data is really the biggest one by us. Really, we are also ready to change it when something will go wrong with Twitter or with the data from Twitter.
Makes sense. So preparing for any complications on the Twitter front, as well as expanding your data feed. Well, let me follow it up with another question, Damian. What are some of the bottlenecks that you're facing at the moment in terms of scaling the system from both, say, analyzing the data itself or getting the data feeds? And from more of a technical side, what are some of the bottlenecks that you're trying to solve at the moment?
The bottlenecks, what do you mean?
I guess by bottlenecks referring to parts of your system that might be slowing down the rest of the system. Say the ingestion, where you're pulling in data feeds, maybe you're getting too much data and it's difficult to scale that piece, or say as the size of the data set starts to increase, scaling up computing power for your machine learning models might be a challenge. I'm just curious to see if there's anywhere along that chain that y'all might be looking to I guess improve upon.
Okay, as I understand your question, if we already have a model run on emotions, scaling is not different from the usual as any startup offering software as a service solution. It is known bigger servers come, the need for customer care increases, and such challenges. But on the other hand, a certain problem for us is data processing and model learning, of course. Here we need, as always, historical data for model learning and backtesting. And unlike solutions based only on financial data, which are relatively easy to access, in our case, we still need to acquire a sufficient number of historical social media mentions of a financial instrument like Bitcoin in the last case. In addition to acquiring them, in the next step, they need to be cleaned of all sorts of junk before they go into our Senti tool, and we read emotions from them for each. And unfortunately, for each new financial asset, we need a new set of mentions and the time needed to prepare them and learn the model. We already have experience with Bitcoin, and this is a placed path, but it's sometimes it's a problem to acquire a good good qualitative historical data like Twitter mentions or other social media mentions.
From the cryptocurrency side, has it been relatively difficult for you to get good quality data? Like, I think you mentioned earlier that you were pulling some of the data from Binance. Are there any challenges on that side of the business in terms of acquiring quality cryptocurrency data?
No, no, really, because the exchanges, the cryptocurrency exchanges, they give the data very well, and that's no problem. The problem is about, as I said, about the emotional data, the mentions, the mentions like tweets and so on and so on. No, the financial data. That's no problem.
So quality data sources do exist.
Okay.
Maybe changing the note just a little bit. In terms of some of the other players in the space, is there anyone else that you're keeping your eye on that maybe you admire or that you might want to emulate or potentially collaborate with in the future?
To collaborate, no idea at the moment, but of course I'm a big fan of Ethereum or also Cardano for example. Vitalik Buterin is of course much further along, but Charles Hoskinson, I guess his persistence and commitment is also worthy of admiration. But on the other hand, in Web3 we have to be careful with admiration because unfortunately there are also a lot of scam and shady projects, and just time shows who is who. No,
we learned that with Celsius as well as Sam Bankman-Fried. You have to be careful who you trust in the industry.
For instance, Celsius, yeah, or Luna, or whatever, FTX and so on.
I'd be curious, for the Luna collapse, what was your overall take on that? Did it seem like a reckless project from the beginning, or something that just mistakenly went out of hand?
That's a good question. We have wrote an article about Luna. We have checked all emotions about Luna for a period of 1 year, and there were very well to see that on the basis of emotions it was possible to predict less or more that the project will collapse.
That's incredible. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on the Sentimenti indicators then to try to catch the next collapse before it happens.
The article
awesome.
is to find on our site, on our blog on sentimenti.com.
I'll definitely have to take a read on that. Well, Damian, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today before we close out here?
Not really. I'm glad that I can be a part of the idea of podcast, and I hope I could tell you something about emotions, about sentiment, about what we do, and I hope it is interesting for you and for all the other guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Damian. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today. And we have a couple of Damian's links here, Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as some other information there. But thank you again, Damian, for joining us today. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening there.
Thank you very much. You too. Thanks.